she said all the thank yous for all the people involved. And of course, without her influence, it would not have happened. Without Emma's, yeah? Because, and of course my friend John, his task was the most difficult because he had to deal with Hungarian English. It's a disaster. I just wrote it down and everything was handwritten. So I wrote the book and I threw it on the ground and I said to him, I said, that's it, I'm finished. And you can imagine the story. Now, you have to read my handwriting. And so it was not easy, but it was a good process. And of course with the artists, with Alexandra and Simon and all the other people who were involved. A book is never just one person. It is always a number of people, and even the people who supported us with the proofreading. You know how difficult it is, something comes out of you and then you have to proofread. It's a job. Anyhow, so the book is here, and one thing is that you cannot learn yoga from books. The other big problem in the yogic world nowadays as it is that everybody wants to be enlightened last week. Yes? They think they do a few this and that, and it is not the case. It's a fantastic story of one great yogin. His name was Loknath, the master of the worlds within. It's such a loka means worlds within. So all the chakras are referred to as loka, world. And he lived for 160 years. He was born in 1730 and passed in 1890. He became enlightened at the age of 90. He was given into sannyas by his father because he was the fourth child, and usually in the Eastern tradition the fourth child looks after the parents. He's the last one. And so they gave him away under Guru, his Guru lived till 150, so he outlived the Guru by 10. And of course it was a Hatha Yogi Guru, and this guided him right throughout the entire practices. At the age of 90, he was told by his Guru that he needs to cover all of Southern Asia on foot. On foot, and he did. Then he returned, and then he sat down and people went to him and he helped them any which way he could. So there are many confused ideas about what yoga is and what it isn't. And to cover this, and then I get to my book, the best way to describe what yoga is, especially Hatha Yoga, is tantric. So it is stated by Patanjali that yoga is a Kriya Yoga, which consists of tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara pranidhanani. So the term tapas means ascetic activity. This ascetic activity is Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga, best translated, means method of determination. When the individual decides to tread a certain path, they don't waver. And it is definitely an ascetic tradition, even in a householding situation, because when you do Hatha Yoga, the tapas, it's daily, 4 stations of the day. Before sunrise, before midday, before sunset, before midnight. Each one of these stations of the day, one covers 2.5 or so activity hours. Yeah. And each one of these stations require a completely different way of acting. And the term Kriya has many connotations, but when you look at the word, it means completed action, or action or activity completed. But this Kriya consists of a number of things. So you have asana Kriya, the arrangement of different bodily shapes. You have the Nauli Kriya, cleansing Kriyas. Also, when you swallow the cloth and you cleanse, you contract water up through the rectum to wash the bowels, and so on and so forth. These are all Kriyas. And even what they term mudra, they are Kriyas. Kriya also means procedure in this case. So each one of these situations of the day, of its 4 directions, they consist of this proper system of Kriya. And they usually, each one of the activities, whether it is a physical structural activity, it kind of gets performed in a duration of 24 minutes. It's referred to as Gati. Gati Kriya. Gati Kriya refers hiddenly, it takes 24 minutes for the blood to circulate around the body once. That means any type of activity has to be completed within that 24 minutes when one transits into it. Then you go with the essence of that into the next stage and the next stage and the next stage until you arrive at the situation of meditation. It is not a simple act. It is referred to as vidya, knowledge. So tapas comes under this term. Now the term prana, when Emma and I went to Pashupatinath in Kathmandu, we went to research the Pashupatis. The Pashupatis are the oldest tantrika group that they precede anyone after them. They were before the Lord Buddha, and their movement started in Mohenjo-daro, the Harappan civilization of Mohenjo-daro, which is in present-day Pakistan, in the region of Lahore. And this is where they find also, with the archaeological diggings, they find all the seals. And this one particular seal is there where Pashupati, the lord of the animals, it's like that, but actually the lord over the animal behavior patterns within the individual. That's what it means. So he is sitting in this particular seat, which is called Bhagasana, the womb. Why? Because it is through the womb that one is born. So when you reverse the energies of outward flowing reproduction, then when you reverse that, it's in the womb. And from there rises the sublime essence of light. So the return of this outward flowing energy is one needs to master that womb posture. Nowadays it is not called Bhagasana, the sadhus call it Bhagasana. Bhaga means womb. The present day yoga calls it Mula Bandhasana, the posture of the root, which can mean a number of things, but Bhagasana is a much more appropriate term, which is lost now. Then, but within the same seal, there is one of them that has the womb symbolically presented as a downward pointing apex of a triangle, where the Baba is sitting in this pose with his horns and arms and stuff. But then there is an erected penis above the downward pointing triangle, the womb. So this also hiddenly suggests another seat, which is called Kandasana. You saw me in the film when I brought the feet up here. These are all meditation seats. One requires pre-cultivation to be able to arrive there. You don't have to do anything with it. When you enter these two positions, that's it. The technique is the working. You don't have to do anything, you just have to be present in your understanding that you understand the terminology. Now, the Pashupatis, there is a Basya of Kaundinya. They went underground the second time. First time they went underground before Patanjali and Buddha. Then they resurfaced in Gujarat, present-day Gujarat, at 1st century AD, under the guru called Lakulisha, whose name means the holder of the club or staff. And they went for till the 7th century AD, they went underground. And the second last guru, the number 17, his name was Kaundinya. So these Pashupatis, they also use the dance. So when Emma and I went to Pashupatinath, we wanted to go into the Pashupatinath temple. You saw Chidambaram, which is down in Tamil Nadu. This is the dance situation. So when we went to Pashupatinath, they have the 84 postures carved in on the temple walls. We wanted to see the thing. You can't get it, they won't give it, the Brahmins. But when we arrived there, they said, you can't go in, you're not Hindu born, they won't let you in. So I asked, can we oil the situation? They said no. So, but the gentleman who was Dr. Tandon, he said, but Shandor, he said, we go up to Goraknath temple, which is above Pashupatinath temple, because Pashupatinath was the first initiation name of Goraknath. Then I said, okay, Hatha Yogins, let's go. So then I was introduced to the Mahan, to the Guru at the time, the guy with the pointy red head. Did you see him in the film? Narinath. His Guru was Harinarina. He is the one that you saw in a statue. So I got introduced, they're very nice people, I'm chatting to him, and I said, how about the initiation? And you know, they're nice people, they don't say no. They said, no. So I thought, wow, okay. No is no. So we're talking more and I'm asking him questions and one thing follows the other. So I said to Dr. Tandon, could you please tell him to look in my mouth? So he kind of looked at me like, So I put my tongue up to the upper palatal region, which I already cultivated over many years. And he looked in, he saw what time it was, and I looked at him and I said, and? I said, tomorrow morning we'll do the first leg of initiation. Right? So you have to earn it. So what I'm saying is, I'm in my 75th year. I grew up in a household that one person practiced yoga, it was my father. And so I grew up with this. And it stayed with me, all the basic things I learned from him as a child, and he was very instrumental without imposing, dropping things for me to see whether I had the feel for it. And so I grew up with all the basic stuff, and I had the physical ability as well, so there was a plus. And when after emigration, and long story short, when I returned from the war in Vietnam, I said, okay, I had enough of martial arts and everything else, so I do the yoga. And then I ended up in Pune with Mr. Iyengar. I was with him for quite a long time, but on a kind of out of association stuff. I didn't want to be part of any association. I just wanted to learn from a master, that's it. So it was allowed, and then when time came, I approached him with the question: is this Kechari Mudra is just a story on the moon, or is it really a real thing? And he didn't say no, and he didn't say it was a story on the moon. He just said that if it is your karma, your gurus are waiting for you. And I went, thank you very much. I bowed, I thanked him for all the guidance and everything. He prepared me with all the activities. Iyengar Yoga, when I went to him, was very different than what it became later on. It was strong and it demanding. Oh, okay. I've been kicked.
No.
Okay, so give me. I get to the
People
book.
want to buy books. And
Yeah. Okay. So anyhow, long story short, then the Pashupatis came into the view, and then the Gorakhnathis, and here we are. The book, it is an account of my journey of following all those activities that were imparted to me. Somebody asked a question about the footprints. A real practitioner of yoga, it has the paduka. The paduka is those wooden sandals of the guru. It's underneath one's altar. And before one does the prayers in the morning and the salutations, one picks up the padukas and puts it on one's head. It's to remind you that there is something higher than you. So that means your mind doesn't jump onto some ability or egotistical motion. It's a reminder, that's all. That's why it is so strongly presented. So I'm giving an account of my journey and also giving you information of how to proceed towards the appropriate mindset. Without the mindset, you will not be able to guide or follow the guidance. It just remains a physical activity. And whatever you start with at the beginning, you can't use near the other area. So you're constantly going through detachment. What worked at the first foot, it doesn't work in a second, and so on and so forth. This I explained in the book very clearly, and my friend really pulled it together very well with the editing. And the mindset that we use the word today in English is under the term by Patanjali Ishvara Pranidhana, the exploration of the self within. And then, Svadhyaya. Svadhyaya is the exploring of the self within, while Ishvara Pranidhana is surrendering to that thing that is higher than oneself. Once have covered the journey. So this is all explained in the book, very briefly. Like I said, you can't learn yoga from the book. You can utilize the book to develop the mindset or grow upon that situation, and to reaffirm sometimes when you become wobbly and doubtful. Before I get kicked again, I'll
Well,
bring
maybe
it to a
otherwise
close,
you're right.
yeah.
Maybe we just project the films
Yes.
in the back. I
Yes.
think that's going to be better. So what?
The-
No. Just you can finish.
Yeah.
So you can use the book for your advantage, because I have given that, and this is why I gave the account out of, also because I hint upon pitfalls. One has to be very cautious, just like Robert Swoboda said on the film, that you never know when something appears from behind and pushes you over, and then you get injured. Even if one has ability. Though ability is there, one sadhu said to me, your abilities, so what? You have these abilities, it's cool, but this comes from your ancestors, your grandfathers, grandmothers, your father. What are you going to contribute to this? What is your contribution to these gifts? So don't dwell upon something you didn't do anything for. They've done it. So be thankful that you have the ability and availability to proceed with a slightly lighter journey. That is all. So it is all in my book. If you have any questions, some of you are doing the class tomorrow morning, I'm happy and open for those questions. And so thank you very much.
Thank
I almost-
you.